covering news across your hometown. We're working hard for you. This is WHSV News at 6.
The Bridgewater College community coming together for a show of unity this morning after yesterday's tragic shooting. Students, faculty, and community members gathered to sing the college's alma mater, Bridgewater Faithful, on campus earlier today. Good evening, I'm Chelsea Church.
And I'm Bob Grebe, and behind us here, Air 3 flying over the campus of Bridgewater College today.
All classes and events have been canceled for the remainder of the week. School officials say classes will resume on Monday, February 7th.
Investigators returned to the scene of the tragedy today, at one point focusing on Nininger Hall. Police had the building roped off before giving the all clear and leaving the scene around noon. The investigation, though, is still ongoing. Today, the suspect in the deadly shootings appeared in court. We're
learning more about him and the new charges he faces and his connection to Bridgewater College. He appeared in court this afternoon, and WHSV's Kyle Rogers has the new information for us tonight. Kyle.
Chelsea and Bob, good evening to you. We can confirm Alexander Campbell was once a member of the Bridgewater College track and field team as well as cross country. Court documents that we found today show that he had dropped out of Bridgewater College at one point. Today he appeared in court by video, and it appeared that he was restrained to the chair as the judge announced a new charge against him. The 27-year-old from Ashland, Virginia remains locked up at Rockingham County Jail, and we know he faces a fifth felony charge of aggravated murder of more than one person in 3 years. This is in addition to 2 counts of capital murder, 1 count of first-degree murder, and 1 count of use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. Just after 1 yesterday, 2 campus officers responded to a report of a suspicious man on campus, which police say was Campbell, and they said that he was not supposed to be there. Investigators say Campbell then shot and killed campus police officer John Painter and safety officer J.J. Jefferson. That's when they say Campbell allegedly took off running off campus into the nearby North River and was in the water at one point before being arrested by law enforcement. During a press conference last night with Virginia State Police, I asked them why Campbell was not supposed to be at that location on campus. Listen.
That will probably come out in the days to come, but at this time he was not supposed to be in this particular location associated with Memorial Hall. And we always tell folks, if you see something suspicious, let others know, which is exactly what they did, and we're very appreciative of that. Because he was in a location that he shouldn't have been, and as a result, some employees noticed him, actually startled him, and that's when they notified the campus police that they had an individual that shouldn't have been at this location, and that's why they responded.
Today in court, Campbell was appointed an attorney to represent him, who immediately requested a mental health evaluation. He is scheduled to be back in court on February 16th. And also this morning, I took a look back at some court records and found that in 2017, Campbell was found guilty for entering the Klein Campus Center, which among other things is the main dining hall for the college, and Campbell was apparently banned from being there. Now, right now here on Bridgewater campus, not too far from where I'm standing, there is a makeshift memorial, and all night we have seen so many students, some staff members, and people in the community just dropping off flowers, paying their respects to the fallen heroes who were killed in the line of duty after yesterday's tragic incidents here at Bridgewater College. A man who lives in Bridgewater, actually just directly behind the college, says armed officers yesterday emerged from the trees and walked through his backyard in the pursuit of Campbell moments after that shooting. Nate Miller tells us he's a college alum and grew up in the area. He says he was taking his cat outside when he saw the officers, who urged him to go back inside and take cover because there was an active shooter situation. He then saw the large police presence across the river, and that's when Campbell was eventually arrested.
It's deeply affected me. There's not a day I'm not going to not think about this from now on, because it literally happened in my backyard. And it's a major tragedy.
Miller says his father was an attorney and worked with Officer Painter for many years in the town of Grottoes. Of course, Officer Painter was the police chief there for quite some time. Miller says he was a great man who will be missed, and that is the sentiment from so many people here in the community, saying both men who were killed in the line of duty last night were good men. Miller tells us that after yesterday's events, it was terrifying, of course, but he hopes the nation will not soon forget what happened here on the campus in Bridgewater. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much. And we continue to get reactions to the shooting from students at Bridgewater.
We spoke to a few students at this morning's singing of the Bridgewater alma mater.
I wasn't on campus at the time, and that's only because my professor, whose class I would have been here for, she hurt her foot the night before. And it's just something as small as that, and the only thing going through my head was I should have been here.
I'm hoping that we get more awareness about these types of issues all over the country, and how it's usually too late by the time it happens.
And continuing coverage of these heroic officers who died in the line of duty yesterday on Bridgewater College's campus. Both officers, J.J. Jefferson and John Painter, did more than just respond to calls. One person says Jefferson was a big part of the community.
There's a lot of conversation about how kind and warm he was, and he was. He had a smile that would light up the world. He was a quiet, very big presence, full of warmth. But he also was the consummate professional. He knew his profession well.
And Officer Painter was well known, especially in Grottoes, where he served as police chief for 18 years.
John was a kind man, and he was community driven, and you could trust him. He was an awesome police officer and a fabulous chief. He's going to be sadly missed. He's sadly missed now.
Many were touched by the sad news of these two officers.
And the news of John Painter's death certainly did hit the Grottoes community hard. He served as the town's police chief for nearly 20 years, and I spoke today with former mayor and council member Emily Holloway about what Painter meant to the Grottoes community.
He was a humble man, a man that had compassion and was dedicated. He was dedicated to the citizens, to visitors, to anybody he came in contact with. One thing I'll say about John is I never saw him without the smile or small smirk on his face. And just like I said, the humble compassion and kind heart that he shared in every act that he did.
And you can see my entire interview with Emily Holloway on WHSV.com. Click on the news tab, and that's going to take you to the Now on 3 page.
Now, as we mentioned, Bridgewater College has canceled all classes for the remainder of the week as the school prepares to reopen Monday. And now school leaders must figure out how to move forward in the wake of this tragedy. The school takes campus safety very seriously, and its emergency alert system was critical during yesterday's attack. So now we head back to Kyle Rogers at Bridgewater College, where he's joined as well by our reporter Colby Johnson. Kyle?
And Bob, you brought up those alerts from Bridgewater College. We were out here on the scene yesterday, and that was the lifeline of information for students who were in these classrooms. A shelter in place for several hours after what happened just in front of their buildings. The school, I would say, did a great job alerting them through these text messages about what was happening just to keep them safe. And of course, right now, in the more than 24 hours after this tragedy, the college says it's focused on giving students and staff the support they need. Colby's here. You spoke with the school's president earlier today. What do you have to say?
Yeah, Kyle, Dr. David Bushman, Bridgewater College president, told me that in the coming days, the school is going to evaluate all of its security and emergency protocols. But right now, the focus remains on ensuring the well-being of students and making sure that everything is good with them. The school does remain confident in police and its emergency communication system, which worked effectively and quickly in order to get all students in all buildings into lockdown.
Faculty and staff in those places were fantastic in helping students and helping manage that. It's stressful, it's anxious, it's scary. But again, we are thinking about each other. It's a strong community, and even in that most stressful moment, people were taking care of each other.
All aspects of the school's emergency response will be reviewed to determine if any significant changes need to be made. And Kyle, Dr. Bushman also telling me that he is incredibly thankful for the local and state law enforcement agencies, as well as the entire surrounding community for all the help they've played yesterday and into today as that investigation has continued.
Yeah, yesterday we did see a huge law enforcement presence, not only from several agencies throughout the Shenandoah Valley, but also state police. The FBI, we know, is assisting in this investigation, the ATF too. And with the situation that happened yesterday, police were able to act quickly, almost immediately. Moments after that first 911 call, officers descended upon the scene here at Bridgewater College. And despite the chaos and the panic, this is something they do for training. This is what they go through. Unfortunately, it happens here at this small school at Bridgewater College. Police from around the area, along with other agencies, get these active shooter trainings. They do these trainings together so everyone is on the same page responding to a scene like this. Police say they go all in to support each other when they get a call like this one.
We train very often with this, with the hopes that we never have to use those skills. But unfortunately, like yesterday, those tragic events are a reminder of why we do this training.
And police and other agencies train every year, so no situation is overwhelming and can go as smoothly as possible. Bob and Chelsea, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much. Well, still to come on the news at 6, we continue our coverage of the tragedy in Bridgewater and the importance of community in times like these. We're also following news today out of Augusta County, where one man from Georgia was arrested, but officials say another is still on the run.
Deputies were called to Stover Shop Road in Greenville yesterday evening for an abandoned vehicle that was in the middle of the road with its headlights on. Well, it turns out that the car was reported stolen Monday from the scene of a homicide in Georgia. When deputies opened the trunk, they found 26-year-old Nakiah West II holding a handgun. He was taken into custody.
Officials are still looking for 41-year-old Natanya Chappell. He's wanted in connection to the Georgia homicide that happened on January 31st in Dawson, Georgia, as well as a murder and aggravated assault 2 weeks earlier in Leesburg, Georgia. Augusta County Sheriff Donald Smith says if you see anything suspicious, give them a call immediately. Well, continuing our coverage now of the shooting that killed 2 officers yesterday. And in the town of Stanley, officers are too familiar with what Bridgewater is going through right now.
Absolutely. Almost 1 year ago, Stanley police officer Nick Winham, he was killed in the line of duty. And we spoke today with Stanley Police to check in. WHSV's Kayla Brooks is live with this story in the newsroom. Kayla.
Bob and Chelsea, Stanley Police are still grieving the loss of their friend and fellow officer, Nick Winham, who was shot while conducting a traffic stop. Stanley Chief of Police Ryan Dean says so many agencies came out to support immediately after the shooting, and even more showed up in the weeks following, offering to respond to their calls, cook food, and be a shoulder to cry on. And Dean says that help was needed.
You didn't realize it at the time, but we needed as much help after the fact as we did, that day. Say as far as taking our calls and all the support that reached out literally throughout the country.
Dean says yesterday when they got the call from Bridgewater, 3 of their 5 officers hit the road. Dean says those officers didn't reach out in a sense of obligation, and they didn't feel obligated to go yesterday. It's all about that mutual support in what becomes that brotherhood of police.
High temperatures today in the upper 40s. We'll take a look at this cooler air coming in for the weekend. That's all next.
WHSV News at 6, working hard for you. First Alert Storm Team Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Aubrey Urbanowitz in the F&M Bank Doppler Radar.
Well, Still plenty of sunshine for today, helping temperatures rise well into the 40s. And now that the clouds have rolled in before we even started to cool this afternoon, that's basically locking in any of that daytime heating we picked up. So we're still in the 40s right now. Nice evening ahead. It's still cool out there, but I mean, look at this progress we've made with our temperatures. Still 51 in Petersburg, 49 in Stanton, down to 41 in Franklin. We had a couple of sprinkles already across some of our mountain tops, but as we get into the rest of this evening, we're going to start to see some spotty showers and then turning more scattered overnight. But look at our storm system. This is quite a large storm system affecting much of the country. I've seen some icing pictures across Texas, parts of Abilene, Texas. Already have a lot of power outages, already up to a foot in parts of Illinois, where heavy snow will continue. We are on the really good side with this storm system, so we're going to see rain, especially filling in overnight, but the bulk of the rain really holding off until Thursday overnight and very early Friday morning, but kind of a longer duration of at least some showers that will be with us through the early afternoon on Friday. So rain for tonight, it's going to be spotty, turning scattered, especially as we move into the overnight hours, and temperatures overnight well above freezing. So this is just going to be a cool rain. Temperatures continue to drop into the upper 30s, a few spots even around 40 degrees as we get into first thing Thursday morning. We're going to see waves of rain into Thursday morning and then more breaks, especially as we get into the afternoon. So there will be some breaks at times during the day. I did adjust high temperatures down slightly for the day because I think with the rain, especially on and off, we're going to kind of fluctuate at times. Overall, high temperatures should be in the upper 40s, even a few spots around 50 degrees. And I did slightly adjust also the expected rainfall amounts for most. I'm expecting about a half an inch to an inch of rain. That's basically anything from tonight through Friday in the early afternoon. And where we could see some higher totals would be across our West Virginia locations and the Allegheny Mountains. We could be pulling around 1.25 inches for parts of our West Virginia locations. Then comes the interesting day on Friday. We're going to see a wide range of everything on Friday. Heaviest of the rain should be before about 8, maybe as late as 9 o'clock in the morning, but I'm looking at earlier as opposed to later. And we're still going to see showers through about noontime, even shortly afternoon as everything kind of tapers off in the early afternoon. But temperatures are going to range quite a bit depending on location. So first thing in the morning, temperatures will start in the lower to mid 40s for our West Virginia locations and then start to cool into the 30s. Now colder across our Allegheny Mountains where we will have freezing rain into the morning hours. For the valley, we're going to have a range as well. Temperatures first thing in the morning ranging from the mid to upper 40s and even into the low almost mid 50s first thing in the morning. So the further south you are, the milder the temperatures will be. Everyone in the Shenandoah Valley should drop into the mid to upper 40s by at least the late morning hours, while our West Virginia locations start to cool into the 30s. This is where we can have some sleet mixing in for our West Virginia spots around Grant and Hardee County especially. Probably a little more isolated for Shenandoah County, not as much, and then the rain will start to taper off into the early afternoon hours, and temperatures continue to cool throughout the rest of our Friday. So your Blue Mountain Plumbing, Heating and Cooling 7-day forecast. Once the sun sets on Friday, anything wet is going to freeze, so we're going to have a lot of frozen puddles around on Friday night. And also beware of bridges and overpasses can still be a little slick if they are wet. We'll have that breeze into Saturday. Not a strong wind, but still a bit of a breeze as we cool down. But temperatures next week into the 40s. Woo! How about that?
With the sunshine.
Sweat a little bit.
With the sunshine.
With the
It was nice today. It was really nice. Bear and I got out today. It was a fantastic day. And if you saw my social media, you can see her groundhog prediction.
Oh, all right.
Right.
Thank you so much, Aubrey.
Well, mark this down, everybody. Get your calendar out. Mark it down. July 1st. We're going to tell you why that's important for JMU athletics next in sports.
We are your home for local sports. Here's Sports Director TJ Ed.
It's now official. James Madison is joining the Sun Belt Conference as a full-time member on July 1st of this year. The announcement of JMU's move to the SBC later this year was made during a press conference at the Atlantic Union Bank Center this morning. The move includes JMU football, which will play as an FBS team this fall. 6 home games on the schedule, 5 of them against FBS opponents, 4 versus Sun Belt teams, but the Dukes won't be eligible for a bowl in 2022. All other sports at JMU that are joining the league, though, will be full-time members in July, and they'll have a chance to compete for Sun Belt titles right away.
We're excited. I mean, I think this is a great day for the JMU Nation. We waited on this one for a long time. The sooner, the better. This transition couldn't come faster for us.
Once we knew they were going to be in the family, you try to do everything you can to help a family member. And so You know, Jeff and I started working on it in the fall.
It'll be exciting in the fall. I think there's a lot of unknowns, let's face it. But we're excited about it. I know our players and fans are excited about it, and looking forward to it.
Now, as for sports that are not in the Sun Belt, like women's lacrosse, field hockey, swimming, and diving, their new league membership is expected to be announced very soon. Well, it's now time to introduce the Student Athlete of the Week. Perry Scheinen reports.
I grew up without a father figure in my house, so drugs and alcohol was really like in my life, and my dad was in and out of jail. You know, like seeing him through a glass like at 7 years old was something like crazy to think. And then like that relation just broke.
Emma Witt is a senior on the basketball and volleyball teams at Stanton High School. In December, Witt scored 1,000 career points for the Storm, and her mom was in the first row of the crowd.
My mom's life really wasn't easy, but she's been like, you can do better than me. Like, you can strive to become something great. She was like, ever since you were born, like I knew there was passion and there was dedication in your eyes.
Last year, this dedication to basketball helped Witt navigate a difficult loss in her family.
My aunt was literally like my second mother and my best friend. I lost her in September of 2020. It was really hard on our family. Like, she was like our glue basically and kept our family together. So when she passed away, like I had to find something that was gonna get me out of that like sadness.
We kind of got a similar backgrounds, you know, where she lives at, where she grew up at, is where my mom lived, single mother. And so, you know, we have that connection. We both understand, you know, what it takes to overcome obstacles.
As a Valley Scholar with a 4.1 GPA, Witt is eager to play college basketball while pursuing a career in criminal justice.
Growing up, like I've had like cops always involved in my life, and you know, like they've always helped me for the better. There are so bad cops in this world, but there's also really good ones, and I've met really good ones. And my goal in life is to be an FBI agent, so I want to be a detective where I change the world for the better.
Witt currently has a job working over 20 hours per week, yet also finds time to mentor the next generation of female athletes at the local YMCA.
I'm just so grateful that I have the opportunity to guide other players. The girls following see like this is an opportunity to be better than what I was. If you're a female athlete, I believe in you.
Congratulations to Emma Witt, the Pepsi-Cola of Central Virginia Student Athlete of the Week at Stanton High School. Perry Scheinen, WHSV.
Well, the NFL team in Washington, D.C. finally has a new name, and it is the Washington Commanders. The franchise announcing its rebranding today after going by the name Washington Football Team the last 2 seasons, of course, following a change from the Redskins. The Washington franchise has been around since 1932. We'll be right back.
All right, so it's Groundhog Day, but around here, we might as well call it Bear Day.
Yeah, of course.
She measures everything for us.
She really does. So Phil saw his shadow this morning with the TV lights. Don't get me started on that. But Staten Island Chuck said Phil is full of it because Staten Island Chuck did not see his shadow, as you would expect. So Staten Island Chuck says spring will come early. But maybe we need a tiebreaker.
Yes.
Let's go to the graphic. We have the Rockingham County Bear. So Bear, you can see in the graphic for photo proof. She saw her shadow. So Bear is calling for 6 more weeks of winter, as per the calendar.
All right. Well, thank you, Bear, for keeping us updated, and thank you for joining us for the news at 6. Have a good night.